25 years after the very first Hell in a Cell match between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, Hell in a Cell was in Chicago. There were 50 Hell in a Cell matches heading into tonight's pay-per-view. And tonight was to have been match number 51 between Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins was in number 50 at Crown Jewel last year. That was when he went one-on-one with Edge. They had an excellent match. The first two matches between Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins have been fantastic. They stole the show at WrestleMania. They had another great match at Backlash. So I had every expectation that they were going to come into the show tonight and they were going to tear it up in the main event. And you know that Cody was extra motivated because this was his first big singles match in a main event on a WWE pay-per-view. So you knew that he was going to come out there in Chicago tonight. He was going to want to have the best match on the entire show. And then earlier today, these reports and these stories started to circulate from Dave Meltzer on Observer Radio. And then later in the day, WrestleVotes on Twitter chimed in and said the rumors are true. Cody Rhodes is injured. With a tear and it's a pretty significant injury. Could be out for a while. But WWE was still promoting him for the show tonight, but then WWE made it official on their own Twitter account. And only about an hour or so before they went live, this is what they tweeted. They said, Cody Rhodes suffered a partially torn right pectoral tendon during a brawl with Seth Rollins this past Monday on Raw. While weight training in preparation, the tendon tore completely off the bone. However, Rhodes has vowed to step inside Hell in a Cell tonight. So that sounded awkward because torn pec is a very serious injury. A torn pec is an injury torn completely off the bone. I mean, that could put you on the shelf for at least 6 months if it's bad enough. I remember watching John Cena wrestling Mr. Kennedy on Monday Night Raw many years ago. At the beginning of the match, he gave the guy a hip toss. He tore his pec. As I recall, I think that also was right off the bone. But a torn pec is a torn pec. He finished the match, but you could tell he was in a great deal of pain. And John Cena is a mutant. He has mutant super healing powers, and so he was back a lot sooner than people expected him to be. Not everybody is like John Cena. So I didn't know what they were going to do. I thought maybe they would come on the air tonight, make some kind of announcement. They weaved it into the story of the match, though. They didn't shy away from the fact that Cody got hurt. They leaned into it and said that he's going to be heroic. He's heroically going to wrestle in the match tonight. And this is all very confusing to me because WWE talks a lot about their wellness program and how they take things a lot more seriously these days. It's not like the Wild West days where they let guys tape shit up and just go out there and wrestle with torn muscles and concussions and all kinds of injuries. You know, even if you want them to, even if you want somebody to go out there and kind of gut it out and, you know, be tough, WWE tends to take these things very seriously, and they simply will not let you go out there. They will not medically clear you to compete. So it's a little suspect to me that WWE would allow Cody Rhodes to go out there and wrestle in the main event in a Hell in a Cell match, no less, with a torn pec, an injury that could potentially get worse. I mean, they said completely torn. Maybe it can't get any worse. It looked like it was getting worse as the match went on. So there's going to be a lot of debate about whether or not that was a very smart decision. It was not. Cody is absolutely out of his mind. But Cody Rhodes went out there. He took his ring jacket off. And you could see the bruising. It was on his right pec. It was on his arm. It was under his arm. He had people on social media chiming in and saying, yep, that's a pec tear. That ain't no makeup job. That's what a torn pec looks like. And if you notice, as the match went on, it seemed to get darker and more bruised until the very end of the match. And it looked worse at the end than it did at the beginning when he first took his jacket off. At least to me, it did. So I'm going by the assumption, I'm no doctor, but I'm going by the assumption that yes, in fact, this is a real injury. This is a legitimate injury. Could WWE have exaggerated it and said he tore it completely off the bone and instead it was maybe a partial tear? That's certainly possible. But yes, I do believe Cody Rhodes was legitimately injured going into this match. I think he is a fucking madman for agreeing to go in there and wrestle this match. But again, put yourself in his frame of mind. This is his big moment. This is what he wanted when he came back to WWE. This is why he left AEW, to come back to WWE, because he wanted to show Vince McMahon, hey, look, I went out and I became a star. I proved you wrong. I went out and proved that I can be a star. I could carry your company. And he came back, and he's got big dreams of becoming WWE champion and wrestling Roman Reigns and doing the one thing his father could never do, and winning the top title in that company. And up to this point, WWE, they've been pushing him hard. They have been flawless in the way that they have booked Cody and the way they presented him. He's a big deal. He had a lot riding on this match. So I'm sure he would have had to have been dragged kicking and screaming and said, I'm going out there. I feel fine. Shoot me up with some cortisone injections and send me on out there. He went out there and he and Seth Rollins had an excellent match. What kind of match can you have when you're a one-armed man? Well, apparently you can go out there and have a pretty damn good match, because I thought the two of them went out there. They delivered in the main event. Cody Rhodes beats Seth Rollins for the third straight time, the third straight pay-per-view win for Cody Rhodes. He did it. He pulled off the Batista from 2005. Triple H put Batista over 3 straight times. Seth Rollins did the same here for Cody Rhodes. And surprising, because where does Seth go from here? You know, Seth Rollins has now gone in there and lost 3 straight times on pay-per-view. The last time now, he lost to a one-armed man, more or less. He wrestled an injured Cody Rhodes, and he still lost. So I don't know where Seth Rollins goes from here. But Seth Rollins is not the story. The story here is Cody Rhodes. Did he make the injury worse? Was the injury already bad enough? Did he just add more time off from television? We don't know. We don't know the extent of things just yet. Sure looks to me like Cody Rhodes is going to be going away for a while. And that's bad news for WWE. That comes at a very bad time. But not the worst. Because if you're looking at it in terms of potential challengers for Roman Reigns, even if Cody goes down for an extended period of time, I didn't see Cody Rhodes getting a championship match with Roman Reigns anytime soon. Now, when Roman Reigns does come back, he's got a few people lined up that could step up to the plate. You've got Matt Riddle. You've got Randy Orton. Supposedly the SummerSlam main event, Randy Orton against Roman Reigns. You've got 2 right there. You've got Bobby Lashley. After what we saw tonight, the people in Chicago love Bobby Lashley. The right man went over in that handicap match with him and Omos. Absolutely, I could see Bobby Lashley stepping up and being slotted in as a challenger for Roman Reigns. And Drew McIntyre has already called his shot for Clash at the Castle in September. He'll be challenging for the WWE Universal title. So, it's not a complete disaster if Cody has to go away for 6 months, but he was in the middle of the biggest push of his life. Hopefully he won't be gone for that long. But again, if the injury is as serious as it looked to be tonight, he's a crazy man for going out there. And this will be a night. This will be a match and a performance that will be remembered for a very long time. It was an excellent match. And there was another match, frankly, that was right up there along with it, I think in competition for best match of the night. That was the opening match, which we're going to start with here in a second. Top to bottom, I thought this was actually a very good pay-per-view. There were no real surprises, unless you count Cody Rhodes being injured and still going over in the main event. No real surprises. We didn't get a 4th member of Judgment Day revealed. There was no Bray Wyatt. There were a lot of Bray Wyatt rumors, and who knows? Maybe they had some kind of a plan, and then Cody's injury maybe changed things. We don't know. But there was no big surprise at the end of the show. Cody won. They went off the air. It was very straightforward. There was no angle shot, nothing like that. So if you were expecting some kind of big surprise or return or debut or anything like that, or a major title change or something, then you might have been disappointed. But I thought top to bottom, this was actually a very good show. A very good effort overall from WWE. They started hot. They ended hot. That main event, it was a different kind of match. You could see it made people very uncomfortable seeing Cody out there with that giant bruise. Every time Rollins would, jam it with a kendo stick or, slam him into the ring post or do something to him. It added to the story of the match. Again, I think he's absolutely out of his mind. And I think it was a completely unnecessary risk to take. I commend him for going out there. I can't imagine what kind of pain he must be in. Again, unless he's all shot up with drugs, which I would be. Although I wouldn't even be out there. He pulled a Kurt Angle. It's like Kurt Angle at WrestleMania. Kurt Angle's neck was falling apart. It was being held together by rubber bands and glue. Elmer's glue. He says, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to wrestle Brock Lesnar. I'm going to put him over. And he went out there and he had a hell of a match. That's what Cody did tonight. Hit that like button. Super chats are open. You see them popping up on your screen. I'm going to read all of your messages, including, by the way, there's a brand new one that I have added to the list. I've added it to the description down below. It's the new $40 super chat called Solomonster Does the Shanky Shuffle. And anybody who was part of our Friday night stream, you know exactly what that is. You know exactly what I'm talking about there. I have added that as a super chat. So anyway, that's on the list. I want to give a quick shout out here to Jeremy Thunder Strikes, Justin Jack, Echo Vision, and Tenorio128 for becoming channel members. Thank you guys. And actually, I think B Dun P, just a few minutes ago, just became a new channel member as well. Also, shout out to Brandon Proctor, who just re-upped 5 months. It's a Sound Off Legends tier member, so thank you to Brandon. For those who may be interested, channel memberships are open. You can click the join button down below. It'll give you all the information. You get some perks and bonus content, all that good shit. So go ahead and check that out and hit that like button. So let's get right into it here. Hell in a Cell opened with a triple threat match. For the Raw Women's Championship, it was Bianca Belair defending her title against Becky Lynch and Asuka. I want to show you, before we even get into this here, I have to show you, this was Becky Lynch's choice of headgear tonight. She brought back the dead, mangled Transformer again. I don't know what fashion look she's going for here. Her fashion is as questionable as her husband's when he comes out on TV. And we'll talk about the outfit that Rollins wore in the main event. I actually got a kick out of that. I thought that was brilliant. Brilliant is not a word I would use to describe whatever the fuck is on Becky Lynch's face right now. But anyway, that was her choice of headgear tonight. I thought this was an outstanding match. All three ladies had time to shine. They gave these three 20 minutes to open up, or roughly 20 minutes to open up the show. I knew coming into this would be at least very good. I wasn't really a huge fan of the build-up to this match, but you've heard me talking about their segments on TV. I said, whatever they're doing on TV, I'm sure when we get to the pay-per-view, that triple threat match is going to be an excellent match. And in fact, we probably got the better match as compared to what the original plan was. And that's not a knock on Naomi, but the original plan was Naomi was going to win a six-pack challenge on television a few weeks ago. She would challenge Bianca Belair on this show. And we might have gotten Ronda Rousey against Sasha Banks tonight as well. They walked out. Naomi did not win. She was not even in the match. And they had to come up with a plan B. Plan B was the match we got tonight. Plan B turned out to be an excellent plan. Story was Becky constantly trying to steal the win. Asuka would hit a move and Becky would throw her out of the ring and try to pin Bianca. And she was trying this with both women constantly, all throughout the match, over and over again, but it just wasn't working. Every time she would try to steal the pin, that person would kick out or the other person would break it up. You know what? It was similar to the story, honestly, of the second match with Cody and Seth at Backlash last month, when Seth tried to win the match with a fistful of tights or trunks. And if I remember, I think it was Cody who did the same to him, and he got the win. You know, the whole turnabout is fair play thing. That was the story here in this match. Turnabout is fair play. What's good for one is good for the other. That's how Bianca ended up winning this match. There was a sequence in here. We gotta show some love for Asuka. We could show some love for all three of these women, but we gotta show some love for Asuka, because Asuka, as great as she is, and I think everybody in this chat would acknowledge, certainly I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here, but people know how talented and how good Asuka is, I still feel she's very underrated. She still doesn't get the credit that she deserves. And there was a sequence here in this match where she started spamming Becky. It's basically what she was doing. She was spamming her with these repeated spinning back fists, and she'd give her like 2 of them, then kick her, then give her another one. Then she took her over with a German suplex. The spinning back fists look great. Bianca got Becky up for a vertical suplex. She started marching in place before dropping her. Bianca tried for a superplex on Becky. Asuka came over. She tried to turn it into a Tower of Doom spot, but Bianca kicked her away. Asuka, though, caught Bianca with a code breaker, and when Becky came diving off the ropes, Asuka caught her with a code breaker as well. There was a cool spot where Asuka had Becky in an ankle lock, and when Bianca came over, and I think she threw a kick, Asuka caught her foot, and put her in an ankle lock. So Asuka had a double ankle lock. She had one ankle from Becky and one ankle from Bianca. And they were both on the mat. They were screaming in pain, trying to reach the ropes. Eventually they did. Later on, Asuka caught Becky with the Asuka lock while Bianca was down at ringside. Becky got to her feet, kicked off the ropes, ended up on top of Asuka for a near fall. Asuka, though, adjusted, got Becky back in position in the Asuka lock. Becky got to the ropes, and she threw Bianca to the floor. She put Asuka down with a manhandle slam. Did Becky. Bianca climbed right back in the ring, though, and she tossed Becky outside. So Becky hits her finish on Asuka and seemingly has the match won, right? But as I said, Bianca immediately rushes back into the ring, and she does to Becky what Becky was doing to both these women for the entire match. And she tosses her out of the ring. She covers Asuka, and she gets the pin. And Bianca Belair retains the Raw Women's Championship. She uses Becky Lynch's own strategy against her to win this match. An excellent match. And not the first time that Becky Lynch has stolen the show in the opener on a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view when her husband was in the main event. The only difference is her husband was in one of the worst Hell in a Cell matches of all time the last time that happened. This time, he was in one of the better ones. I won't say the best, because it wasn't the best, but definitely light years ahead of whatever the fuck that was with Bray Wyatt 3 years ago. But I thought they had an excellent match. Becky and Bianca, they have great chemistry together. I mean, they went in there at WrestleMania. And you could debate whether or not they had the best match at WrestleMania or whether or not Cody and Seth had the best match. Some people might say Stone Cold and Kevin Owens, right? I mean, it was a spectacle seeing Austin back in the ring. Take your pick. Becky and Bianca had one of the best matches on either night. They worked very well together. And we saw a lot of that chemistry tonight as well. You know, very, very smooth, I thought. A lot of great reversals and near falls here in this match. They told a story during the match. Having Asuka eat the pin and Bianca, you know, steal the win from Becky could be setting up. Probably is. Has to be. Setting up for at least one more match between Bianca and Becky. They could very well be setting up for one of these, you know, 1 year later coming full circle type stories where it was at SummerSlam last year that Becky came back and she beat Bianca in 26 seconds to kick off this whole thing and took the championship from her. It was supposed to be Bianca and Sasha in a rematch from WrestleMania. I still to this day don't know what the fuck happened with Sasha, but she wasn't there. She didn't show. So that's how we ended up with Becky Lynch being called back early, and she beat Bianca that night. They might want to wait until SummerSlam again. SummerSlam is on July 30th this year. It's not that far away. I would prefer, if they're going to do it again, do it at Money in the Bank. Do it at MGM at the beginning of next month. Get it out of the way. Bianca will win. Because I think the SummerSlam match should be Bianca Belair defending the Raw Women's title against Rhea Ripley. I'd rather see that at SummerSlam. But I can't complain about seeing Bianca and Becky, you know, too much because they have good matches together. But at some point, you've got to move on. I mean, Bianca needs to move on to other challengers. And I think it sucks that we at least so far, we still haven't gotten that one-on-one championship match with her and Asuka. They had a non-title match on Raw last Monday, and Bianca just pinned her. She beat Asuka. Asuka then ate the pin tonight in this match. So there really is no justification for putting Asuka in the ring in a title match with Bianca Belair. I'd love to see it. How do you justify it? She would have to win some kind of a match or a battle royal or something, to earn the shot, because now she's gotten pinned by both women. She got pinned by Bianca on Monday. She got pinned by Bianca again tonight. Why put her back in the ring with her for a third time? So that aspect of it sucks. I mean, kudos to all three, but the thing with Asuka, though, it just doesn't feel like her time. She feels like the odd woman out. And the problem is, if Asuka is not involved with these two, and if Asuka is not challenging for the Raw Women's title, then what the hell is Asuka doing? If they're not going to go to Bianca and Rhea this summer, you could do Asuka and Rhea. We haven't seen that yet. But she would probably just lose to Rhea Ripley also. I don't want to see Asuka just become a punching bag for everybody. That's Mustafa Ali's job. So there is no obvious program for her if she's not challenging for the championship. You got to come up with something for this woman to do. We have Bobby Lashley against Omos and MVP in a handicap match. They aired the diss track. I mentioned this on the podcast earlier today. I was watching NXT in your house last night. I was one of the 20 people watching in your house, and they were airing commercials to plug the different matches on the pay-per-view tonight. And so they had a commercial for the handicap match, and I didn't see it up until last night. This diss track, MVP recorded a song called Fall Mighty, talking about Bobby Lashley and making fun of him, and you're nothing without me. You were the ECW champion back in the day. So what? Big deal. I saved you from your blonde wife. It was really good. And I didn't know how many people saw it, so I was kind of hoping they would replay it tonight, and they did. So I just wanted to mention that again. I thought that was actually really good. MVP started, or he teased starting the match with Lashley, but he tagged in Omos instead. Lashley had the early advance. There he is. There's Cody. There's the man of the night right there. Hey, Cameron Johnson, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it, brother. So anyway, Omos was in there early with Lashley. And Lashley had the advantage. MVP, though, grabbed his leg. Omos nailed him with a forearm. Heels took over at that point. So Lashley ends up outside the ring. And he's over by the wall, the barricade by the timekeeper's area, so you knew what was coming, right? They go to this spot now so often. They do this spot so many times. Lashley's over by the barricade. And here comes Omos. And he's trying to pick up some speed. But it's more of like trotting towards Lashley. And I don't remember who it was, if it was Jimmy Smith or if it was Byron Saxton. But on commentary, they were praising the speed. Oh my God, look at the speed of Omos as he trots in towards Bobby Lashley and body checks him, and he knocks him through the barricade. And Lashley takes this big bump through the barricade, which we've seen a million times before. But I'm listening to this and I'm going, the speed. Look at the speed with which Omos collided with Bobby Lashley. They must have been doing speed before the show started. Maybe a little too much speed before the show started, if that's their idea of speed. I was watching Speed, actually, the other day with the guy from the bus. Good movie. So Lashley beat the 10 count back into the ring. MVP was in control until Lashley knocked Omos off the apron. And then he speared MVP. Omos, though, broke up the pin. Omos went for a chokeslam, but here comes Cedric Alexander. There was a segment that aired before this match in the back. Cedric was there with them as they were being, I don't think they were being interviewed, but they were getting ready for their match. And MVP said to him, dude, the Hurt Business is dead. You're not with us. The Hurt Business will never be a thing again. You and I have no association anymore. You need to go away. So you knew that segment aired for a reason. Cedric Alexander comes. I didn't even see him come down to the ring. I just look up and there he is on the top rope. He comes off the top rope and Omos catches him, ends up throwing him out over the top. When Omos turns around, Lashley spears him. That took the big guy out of the picture. Then he grabs MVP, puts him in the hurt lock, and that was all she wrote. MVP submits, and Bobby Lashley picks up the win. The fans popped big for the finish. The fans were into Lashley. The fans in Chicago, they love Bobby Lashley here on this show. It was nice to see. And I thought the match was perfectly fine. Look, when Omos is in there, he's limited in what he can do. This was a handicap match, so it was him and MVP. I wasn't expecting this to be anything overly exciting, and it wasn't, but it wasn't bad. It was not a bad match. The match was perfectly fine. Lashley went outside the ring after the match. He grabbed a replica WWE belt from a fan in the front row, and he was holding it up and posing with it, and the crowd went nuts for him. He was holding it up. People were cheering him. They were chanting his name. He gave the belt back to the fan, got up on the apron. He was posing. He was all into it. Bobby Lashley at that moment looked like the biggest babyface in the entire company, and it was nice to see the crowd into him that much. And that right there, when he held that championship up, it's what I said in the predictions when I did the predictions on the podcast earlier today, episode 759. I said, there's way more value in Bobby Lashley getting the win here than Omos. Bobby Lashley is somebody who could easily challenge Roman Reigns in the next few months for the championship. So why would he not go over in this match? You're going to put Omos over for what purpose? What exactly are you trying to accomplish? It's a handicap match. You don't even have to pin Omos. MVP is in the match to take the loss and either eat the pin or tap out, and that's what happened. So Lashley was the only logical choice to go over here in this match because there's way more value in pushing him than Omos in these next few months. He is one of the top baby faces in the company right now, not just on Raw, but in the entire company. So it was the right decision in the end, and we'll see. We'll see if he ends up getting, I don't know when that would be, though. So in terms of a big pay-per-view, you've got 2 pay-per-views next month. We don't even know if Roman Reigns is going to be on Money in the Bank now. He was when it was going to be at Allegiant Stadium. Now it's in a smaller building. All of a sudden, they took him off the advertising, and there's talk that maybe Matt Riddle is going to tag with Nakamura and challenge the Usos for the tag team titles, in which case, what does Roman do? Maybe nothing. They may be saving him for SummerSlam. And then there's no pay-per-view at all in August. So I'm not even sure when Lashley would get a shot against him, but at least you know that you have somebody in Lashley who's over, who's been champion before, and you could easily plug him in there if you need an opponent for Roman Reigns. We had Kevin Owens against Ezekiel, who is clearly not Elias because he has no beard. How could it be Elias? He has no beard. Zeke tried to end it early. As soon as the bell rang, he jumped up, hit a leaping knee strike, took down Owens, went up top, hit a diving elbow. This was all in the first 20 seconds of the match. Owens kicked out. So throughout the entire match, Owens screamed. He was screaming the entire match, "You're Elias." And the fans would chant, for Ezekiel, he would go, "No, Elias." And he was going back and forth with the fans in ringside. This was the entire match here. At one point, he fish hooked him. He fish hooked Ezekiel, and he was right in the rope, so the camera zoomed in on him, and he fish hooked him to make him smile and said, "Smile for the camera." He told Elias to smile for the camera. So Ezekiel also got busted open hard way. It wasn't anything made. It wasn't as bad as AJ Styles. He got busted open later on in his match also. But you could see blood on the side of his head. I think there was a spot early where he went to go send Owens into the ring post, and Owens reversed him into the post. I'm pretty sure that's where it happened. Owens worked him over for a while. He came off the top rope, did KO for the senton bomb, but Zeke got his knees up. Ezekiel blocked the stunner, but ate a pop-up power bomb. Zeke came back with a running knee strike, headed up top, but Owens cut him off and caused him to lose his balance. Owens hit a cannonball in the corner, and he finished him off with the stunner for the 1-2-3. And the fans popped for the finish, which is not a good sign for Ezekiel. They didn't boo Ezekiel throughout the entire match, but they were not exactly unhappy that he lost this match. And why wouldn't they be? Look, Kevin Owens is carrying this entire thing. Ezekiel, he looks like something out of a fucking creator wrestler mode. There is nothing at all appealing or exciting or interesting about him. This is all Kevin Owens. If you are entertained by this angle, it is all Kevin Owens. A little bit of Chad Gable sprinkled in there, but this is all Kevin Owens. He is doing his best to carry an angle that has a very short shelf life. He got the win here in this match. Now, I'm sure this is not the end of their issue. I'm sure they're going to drag this out a little bit longer. At some point, though, you can only go so far with this, right? The joke gets old, and you got to move on to something else. This Ezekiel character is not going to last very long. Owens already lost to Steve Austin in the main event of WrestleMania, the biggest match of his life. There's nowhere to go for him but down. He got a WrestleMania main event, which is more than CM Punk could ever say. And so it's like there's nothing he could possibly do right now in this company that's going to be any bigger than what he did in Dallas. So it almost doesn't even matter what you have him doing. The guy's bulletproof at this point. You can almost use him to get anything over. But even he's not a wizard, right? Chris Jericho's a wizard. He's not a wizard. He can only do so much. So I don't know where they go from here, but I'm sure this isn't over. Speaking of the wizard, there he is. Mine House. Just subscribed to the channel. What's up? What's up, Mine House? Welcome, welcome. Yeah, I mean, somebody mentioned Mizdow. Mr. Dynamite mentioned Mizdow. That's actually a really good example. Mizdow was great. Mizdow was way more entertaining. But even the Mizdow thing, that had a short shelf life. That could only go on for so long before you had to do the split between him and Miz. I still maintain that Mizdow should have and could have won the Battle Royal of WrestleMania 31. I think that was the year they gave it to Big Show. I think he actually eliminated Mizdow. Mizdow should have won the Battle Royal that year as part of his ongoing story with the Miz. But I digress. I don't want to start rebooking WWE in 2015 because we'll take up the whole show here. But anyway, the fans popped for the finish. I thought it was a decent match. It's the best I could really say about it. We had the Judgment Day. Edge, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley taking on AJ Styles, Finn Balor, and Liv Morgan. Rhea has no pants now. So now she can show off all of her leg tats. WWE didn't want her showing off her leg tattoos. That's why they had her wear long pants and cover them up. But I guess now it kind of fits with the gimmick. So now she's got no pants. Boy, did social media love that. I don't think anybody was even paying attention to the first half of this match. All I saw were messages about, oh my God, what is Rhea wearing? Oh my God, I didn't even realize Rhea's got no pants. Anyway, the heels isolated Balor in their corner for a while until AJ and Edge got the tag at the same time. Styles ended up connecting with the phenomenal forearm for the first time since before WrestleMania. He finally nailed it. And he had Edge beat dead to rights. Damian Priest, though, made the save on the pin attempt. So Chef Baxter in the chat says that Rhea's gear did not arrive on time, according to Rhea. Pineapple Pizza says the same thing. Well, you know what? Sometimes things happen for a reason. I think that was a perfectly fine look. I think it works with this whole Judgment Day thing. I would keep the pants off. I think Rhea Ripley should keep the pants off. I think that's a good look for her in the ring. I think that's a good look for her. I'm going to get myself in trouble here. So Morgan and Ripley, they tagged into the match. Rhea went for the Riptide. Morgan, though, escaped. Tagged in Finn Balor. Morgan caught Ripley with a DDT. All six of them started brawling in the ring. Styles and Balor hit stereo planches at the same time out over the top rope onto Edge and Priest on the floor. Morgan followed up with a suicide dive of her own out onto Rhea. Balor went up top for the coup de grace, but Ripley got up on the apron and shook the rope. And Balor ended up crotching himself. Styles hit the phenomenal forearm on Damian Priest. Edge, though, immediately grabbed AJ, sent him, and he took a hard bump into the ring. Yeah, they have that spot where you post the guy's shoulder first into the ring post. I think that's what he was going for, but AJ took this wild bump into the ring post, fell out of the ring, and fell on the floor. Finish came when Balor went back up top for the coup de grace. Ripley, though, stood in the way, and Liv Morgan took out Rhea. Edge, though, avoided the stomp and then ended up hitting Balor with the spear and pinning him. I saw blood, little droplets and puddles of blood on the floor outside the ring a few minutes before the finish, and so I assumed it must have been from AJ. I didn't see when it happened or how it happened. I didn't even see AJ. I think he was on the other side of the ring, opposite the hard camera. We couldn't see him. But you could see a doctor, Dr. Amon, Dr. Z-Pack. He walked over to go check on AJ, and a lot of people think that it happened on the spot where he got thrown wildly into the ring post. It didn't. He was already bleeding before he went into the ring post. So I'm going to assume it must have happened on the spot where he and Balor did stereo dives. Maybe the way he landed. Again, I didn't see it when it actually happened, but somebody who was in the front row posted like a 10-second video clip on Twitter of AJ right after the spot where he got busted open. And you could see the blood is starting to come down his face, and he realizes it, and he looks up at this person holding the camera, and he goes, "Oh, fuck." And you could probably feel, you feel that warm sensation. He knew what happened. So anyway, the doctor went over to go check on him, and nothing that a few stitches can't fix. I'm sure he'll be okay. Although he also got his cheek cut open. He walked into the stage, into the set, when he was making his entrance at WrestleMania. This looked like it was a little more serious than that. But AJ, he's got to be careful. I thought this was a very good match. I actually thought Liv Morgan was the star of this match. Liv Morgan was the one who I thought was the standout. She impressed me here in this match. No new Judgment Day member, so that was surprising. Each of the last two pay-per-views, we've had a new member revealed. Damian Priest was the first one. At the last show, it was Rhea. I thought Balor would turn on his teammates and he would join. I still feel like Balor is the leading candidate here. I'm not, just because it didn't happen tonight doesn't mean that I don't think it's going to happen. Balor was the one who took the losing fall here. So I absolutely think there's still a very good chance that we may see Finn Balor in the end linking up with the Judgment Day. They recap Bobby Lashley's win earlier in the night. In the back, Lashley walked up to Cedric Alexander. Alexander noted that he did what he did for himself. He didn't do it for Bobby. He said he wanted to stand up for himself. And Bobby was cool with that. He was smiling. He goes, "That's cool, man." He appreciated that. But he also said, "I don't want you to get involved in my matches again." And they bumped fists, and he walked off. By the way, the reason that Shelton Benjamin, for those who might be wondering, because some people probably don't even remember he's still employed. They might just assume that he was swept up in those waves of releases last year. Shelton Benjamin is still employed by WWE. He is not around because he is injured. He's on the shelf. He didn't reveal what the injury is, but a few weeks ago he posted about it. So that's why I assume, he was also a member of the Hurt Business. So why wouldn't he be coming out and making appearances? Because he's injured. And so he's going to be gone for a while. We had Happy Corbin against Madcap Moss. No holds barred. Well, we got a lot of Liv Morgan fans here in the chat. We got a lot of Liv Morgan fans, I see. I'm telling you, Liv Morgan was very impressive tonight. You could tell that she is improving. She has definitely improved. As she has gotten more television time over the last several months, Liv Morgan has improved. And so, it's nice that they found something for her to do, even though they broke up the team with her and Rhea. The fact is, though, Rhea is the one who's going to get pushed. That's why I was talking about Bianca and Rhea. Liv Morgan is not going to get that spot. Liv Morgan, I think, can be someone who's featured. You can have her work with pretty much anybody on that roster. You want to put her with Alexa Bliss. You want to put her with somebody else. But she's not going to be challenging for the championship. After all, she had how many matches with Becky and didn't win a single one of them? Yeah. That tells you what they think of her. Her ceiling is only so high, but she has improved. Actually, she signed on for some kind of movie I saw. She's going to be starring in her first feature film, an actual movie with some names in it. I forgot what the title of it is or when they're filming, but I read about that the other day. They had her real name. I think it was Gianna Daddio or Diadio, whatever her name is. So she may be going away soon. If she's going to be doing a movie, we might not see her on TV for a while. Anyway, Corbin against Moss. They brought in Michael Cole for the one lone SmackDown match on this show. And they mentioned that Corey Graves was joining him because Pat McAfee was not there. Of course he wasn't. Why would Pat McAfee be there? He's going to come in for one fucking match on the entire show? It's not even worth the price of flying him in. Let's fly Pat in so he can call fucking Happy Corbin against Madcap Moss. Pat could get the night off. So we had Michael Cole and Corey Graves on commentary for this. Moss sent Corbin to the floor with a clothesline. They brawled up the ramp. Again, it's no holds barred. So there's no countouts, there's no disqualifications, pin or submission only. Corbin got control for a little bit. They fought over by the announce desk. Madcap tried to use a chair. Corbin threw it away and tossed Moss over the announce table. Moss recovered quickly, though, and he took Corey Graves' chair and he chucked it at Corbin. Fans broke into a loud "We want tables" chant. Corbin teased pulling out a table from underneath the ring. Fans started to react big when they thought he was about to do it, and he put it back. Everybody booed. Later in the match, Corbin went under the ring to grab another chair. And again, the fans erupted into boos. These people were dying. They were dying for the table. The table was more over than either man in this match. We didn't get Corbin chance, because why the hell would we get that? We didn't get Moss chance. We got table chance. The table was more over than most people on this show. Not more than Rhodes, rather. Not more than Cody. Not more than Lashley. But it was pretty damn over. And so they were pissed. And good heat on Corbin. I mean, it's easy heat. He's a good heel. You people want tables? Well, fuck you. I'm not going to give you tables. Although I figured, and we never did get tables in this match. So you would think, well, they're teasing it, they're playing with the fans, but in the end, it's a no-holds-barred match, right? Why wouldn't Moss put him through a table? And we never got a table in this match. And when it was over, I said, well, we must be getting a table in the main event. And sure enough, actually, we got 2 tables in the main event. So we never did get a table here. Moss beat Corbin down with a chair. Corbin did the same to him earlier, and so Moss was able to get his revenge here. Corbin regained control with a chop block at ringside. He beat Moss around the ring as fans continued to chant for tables. We want tables. We want tables. Corbin set up the ring stairs in the corner of the ring. Moss, though, reversed. He gave Corbin a fall-away slam into the stairs. He wrapped the chair around Corbin's neck. And then he did to Corbin what Corbin did to him on SmackDown a few weeks ago, when he wrapped a chair around Moss's neck, and he took that Andre the Giant trophy, and he smashed the chair. That was their way of writing off Madcap Moss for a couple of weeks. He came back, right? We didn't have the Madcap stuff. Well, I mean, he's got the Madcap name, but he came back. He was more serious. His gear changed. It was a sorely, badly needed makeover. But that was why they did the injury angle. So here, Moss was trying to do the same thing to him. And so he Pillmanized him. He took the stairs and he dropped them on the chair. Ended up picking up the win here in this match. There was no way that Corbin should have won this match. Moss was the only option. And even though the people cared more about chanting for tables than they did for Moss, I do think that they've got something in him. He looks like $1 million. You know, he's still a pretty young guy. He's in great shape, right? So he's got the size that they probably like. It's just a matter of tweaking that character and getting it to where it needs to be. He had to ditch the suspenders. He had to ditch the corny bad jokes. Once he split up with Corbin, there was no need for that anymore. But yet they still call him Madcap. They need to get rid of Madcap. They got rid of all the other aspects of Madcap, but they kept the Madcap name. No good. Go back to calling him Riddick, or come up with some new name. I know I'm asking for trouble by saying that, but come up with a new name, a different name for him. The Madcap thing has to go. The Madcap thing is a relic of his past persona. He came back now. He ditched it. New gear, new attitude, new name. Shouldn't be a problem. I mean, they change everybody else's name. Give him a new name, and we'll be off to the races. But I think he is somebody, you like an Austin Theory and somebody like that, who they could potentially have something big in. And it was the only outcome to this match, right? The injury angle set up his big return. This was his big revenge on Corbin. And he got it here on this show. Speaking of Theory, we had Austin Theory against Chicago's own. That's how they announced him. Chicago's own Mustafa Ali for the United States Championship. Ali got a nice hometown reaction, and they mentioned that his wife and his kids and his friends were all in attendance. Oh, man. You would think this guy would know better. Have his family there. Theory hit a cool leaping version of a Spanish fly. At one point, he jumped up on top rope, caught Ali, took him down. Ali fought back. He climbed up top. Theory cut him off. Theory went for his finish. Ali reversed it, though, into an STF. Theory fought to the ropes. And look, the crowd was into it. You know, when he had him locked in the STF, they wanted to see Ali win that championship. Anybody with a brain, though, knew that Ali was not winning this championship. And I've been saying it for weeks. They brought Ali back to TV. After his little dispute with Vince McMahon, he wanted out. He asked for his release very publicly. They said no. And so they finally brought him back to TV because they realized, look, we have him under contract. We may as well use him. When we get all the usefulness we can out of this guy, we're going to let him go. It's like a sponge. He is their sponge. He's got a little bit of moisture left in him. We're going to squeeze it until every last fucking drop comes out of that thing. And then when it's completely bone dry, we're going to throw it away. And we'll buy a new sponge. That's what Mustafa Ali is to these people. So they've used him and abused him over the last several weeks. Oh, he's the scrappy underdog babyface. He's been beaten up and embarrassed by The Miz. He's been beaten up and embarrassed by Tommaso Ciampa. He's been beaten up and embarrassed by Austin Theory, as he was on TV on Monday. Now, Adam Pearce wanted to give him a fair fight. One-on-one for the United States title, a rematch. And he still lost. In his hometown. In front of his family. Doesn't get any more embarrassing than that. That's about as good as it's going to get from Mustafa Ali. It's just the way it is. Anybody who thought differently, you were just fooling yourselves. Simple as that. And that's exactly what happened here. Ali missed the 450 splash. He went splat. Theory hit the chop block, followed up with his A-Town down finish, and picked up the win. LOL. That's what I wrote at the end of my notes for this match. After they pinned the hometown hero here in Chicago, LOL. Then we got to the main event. Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, against Seth Rollins inside Hell in a Cell. I talked about Rhea earlier. Apparently, based on what I've been told here in the chat, she, I guess, tweeted that her gear did not make it to the building. That's why she was dressed a little bit differently tonight. So that was a bit of a different look for Rhea Ripley. Seth Rollins had a bit of a different look tonight as well. Rhea was not the only one. Seth Rollins comes out, and he wasn't wearing one of his gaudy, looking outfits or robes or anything like he had the one at WrestleMania. He walks out there, and he is wearing the old Dusty Rhodes yellow polka dots. Like he's Tommy Dreamer, trying to pay tribute here to Dusty Rhodes. Of course, Dusty was one of his mentors back in the early NXT days, FCW NXT days. So Cody is Dusty's kid. Rollins is quote-unquote Dusty's kid. But he was doing it here in storyline to mock Cody Rhodes, to get under his skin. He's out there with the fucking polka dots. I thought it was brilliant. I loved it. Cody comes out, and he looks fine. He's got his ring jacket on. He gets his pyro. He's got his music. He's got his weight belt. He steps into the cell, and he begins to take off his ring jacket. And he takes it off, and his entire right side, his entire right pec, and not just on his arm, under his arm, all around his right arm, is all bruised up. It is purple. And at that point, you realize, oh shit, like that looks like it sucks. That looks like it sucks. And I'm sure it doesn't feel good. That's a serious injury. As I said at the beginning of the stream, right? This is not, you could have varying levels of pec tears, but that's not the kind of injury that sounds like it would be fun to have. And whether, again, you're at the higher end of the recovery frame, or maybe you can come back in 3 months, even 3 months, you know, it throws a real monkey wrench in whatever their plans were heading into Money in the Bank, heading into SummerSlam. WWE has, they were going to have 3 stadium shows this summer. Now they're down to 2 because they realized that they couldn't exactly pack in the place over that UFC weekend where they were going to run Money in the Bank. So now they're running the smaller building. They couldn't even get the T-Mobile Arena because UFC's already using it. So they're using the smaller building. But they still have 2 stadium shows. They have Nashville for SummerSlam, and then they've got Clash at the Castle. This is going to be a big summer for them. And at the very least, Cody is probably going to miss most, if not all, of the summer. So, you know, it's a big deal. But when I saw the bruising and everything, that's kind of when it got real. And it's like, wow. Boy, they weren't kidding when they were talking about this pec tear. And that's when I looked at this and I said, this man is absolutely out of his mind. And I said, so is the company for allowing this. I mean, I get trying to be brave and tough it out and all that kind of stuff, but just look at it from the perspective of the promoter, right? Now, maybe the doctor said he can't make it any worse, and it's been diagnosed, or we took an x-ray, and it's not going to get any worse. If he's willing to gut through the pain, he's not going to make it any worse. Let him do the match. He'll go in, he'll have surgery, he'll be tip-top in 3 months. Maybe that was the diagnosis. If I'm the promoter, though, you know, I have to make a judgment call here. Do I let this guy go out with an injury like that? And they did. And I think everybody involved here is out of their minds. But if that's what Cody wanted to do, and he wanted to go out there and have that memorable performance, well, that's what he got tonight. So a hush came over the crowd because you could tell they were uncomfortable watching this. Every time he would take a bump, every time Seth would go after the pec, but that's what they were going for. They wanted you to feel uncomfortable. That was the whole point. They built the whole story around his injury. They didn't shy away from it. They didn't have Rollins attack the other side of his body because that wouldn't make any sense. You're in a Hell in a Cell match. This is supposed to be one of the most dangerous matches in the entire company. It's turned into a joke over the years because so many of these Hell in a Cell matches, I mean, these feuds, these programs, they don't even warrant the stipulation. 51 Hell in a Cell matches now in 25 years. There shouldn't have even been 25 Hell in a Cell matches in 25 years. So, yes, they have overused and abused the stipulation, but it's Hell in a Cell. And in Hell in a Cell, you go in there, and the whole point is you want to maim your opponent. You want to torture your opponent. There's one way in, there's no way out. And you make your opponent bleed, you beat them until they just can't go anymore. That's what Hell in a Cell should be, right? How is Seth Rollins going to go in there with a visible injury like that to Cody Rhodes and work around it? We'll just work around the injury. No, you've got to go after it. You've got to target the injury. You've got to, you know, take a weapon and you got to smack him in the chest with it. You've got to work him over. If he wants to work, then that's what has to be done. Otherwise, I mean, that looks ridiculous. Why wouldn't Seth go after the injury? If I was wrestling somebody who had an injury, the first thing I'd do is I'd go after that injury. If I was wrestling somebody who I knew had a knee injury, the first thing I would do is I would take their fucking knee out. I want to win. And in the case of Rollins, he already lost twice to this guy. He was desperate. So that was the story of the match. Cody hit a Cody cutter early on, and he was selling it, you know, banging on the mat like he was in so much pain. Then he put Seth in the figure 4. Rollins dragged himself to the ropes, and he's reaching down underneath the ring. He grabbed a toolbox, and he, you know, threw that aside, and he was fishing around for something that he could use. And he grabbed what else? It's become the favorite weapon in these types of matches, a kendo stick. So he grabs the kendo stick, he jammed it into Cody's pec, He pushed down on it. Rollins put on Cody's ring jacket. He grabbed Cody's weight belt. He started whipping him with the weight belt. There was one shot in particular. He whipped him right across the pec. Made a great sound. Cody winced. You see the people in the crowd wincing. So then Rollins went under the ring and he pulled out a table. And he got a huge pop. Because the people had been waiting all night long to see this freaking table. And finally they got one. So they popped. They were so excited. The biggest star of the show. They finally got their table. He even got a thank you Rollins chant for it. Cody ended up laid across the table. Seth came off the top rope. He went for a frog splash. Cody moved, and Rollins crashed through the table. Cody pulled a gym bag out from under the ring, and he pulled out a bull rope with a cowbell attached to it. So we were going old school here. All right, Dusty Rhodes had a cowbell match, I think, on one of the Great American Bash pay-per-views that WWE did. It might have been against JBL many years ago. Was it JBL? I don't remember now if it was JBL or Randy Orton. Maybe it was Orton. But in any event, he pulled out the bull rope and the cowbell, and he attached one end of the strap to his wrist. He threw the other end of the strap at Rollins, and he's yelling at him, and he's telling him, put it on, put it on. He wants him to put that strap on. So Rollins puts the strap on around his wrist. So now we have a bull rope match. In the middle of this Hell in a Cell match, we've got a bull rope match that just broke out. Seth's left arm had a nice gash on it, I noticed. I'm assuming that came from the frog splash through the table. So I think it was his left arm. You could see where it was bleeding. Cody smacked Rollins in the head with the cowbell that was hanging from the middle of the bull rope. And he tried to get the win. Rollins, though, kicked out. He needed more cowbell. One wasn't enough. We needed more cowbell here in this match. Rollins got things turned around, though. He brought another table into the ring. These people, I mean, you talk about, holy shit. One table. You give them two. He's the biggest babyface in the world, this guy. Brings it into the ring. It backfired on him the first time, so he decided to try again. He set Cody up for the running power bomb, so the table is propped up against the corner. He was going to power bomb him through the table, right? Like he does the buckle bomb, only this time Cody would go through the table. Cody, though, slipped out. He hit a crossroads for a close near fall. Rollins fought back, and on his second attempt, he succeeded this time. He powerbombed Cody through the table. And I'm sure that didn't feel too good. Rollins went under the ring, pulled out a sledgehammer. We had a couple of Triple H tributes here in this match. In the ring, Rollins set up for a pedigree, but Cody reversed into a pedigree of his own. He finally hit it. You know how many times he's teased that move? I think he teased it at WrestleMania, but he never hit it. He finally hit the pedigree. Rollins, though, kicked out at 2.5. You know, now that Triple H is retired, it doesn't matter. I mean, they could inherit the move if they want to. I mean, it's basically one of Rollins' moves anyway. Whether or not they kick out of it, it doesn't matter. The guy's retired. He's never going to wrestle again. Do whatever you want with it. So Cody spotted the sledgehammer laying on the mat. He reached down and he picked it up. Rollins rolled out to the floor. Cody went after him. Rollins got back in the ring, and when Cody came back after him, Rollins hit the curb stomp. Rolled him over, went for the pin. Cody kicked out. Rollins went for a second stomp. Cody avoided it. Rollins hit Cody with the crossroads. Cody, though, no-sold his own move, and he immediately popped up and delivered one of his own. Rollins recovered, came charging at Cody with the sledgehammer. Cody, though, kicked it out of his hands, hit another crossroads and another. And before he could deliver a third one, he decided to grab the sledgehammer. He picked it up, and he nailed Rollins with it. And with that, Cody Rhodes pins Seth Rollins and wins his third straight pay-per-view match with Rollins. 3 straight. Clean sweep for Cody, 3-0. He picks up the win, which I believe was the first Hell in a Cell win of his career. I think Cody was only in the one Hell in a Cell match as part of Legacy against DX many years ago. I'm almost positive DX won that. So his first win here in Hell in a Cell. It was surprising to me, if only because with the injury, he's going to miss some time. Hopefully it's not an extended period of time, but it's very likely Cody's going to be gone for at least a couple of months. So I thought maybe they'd call an audible. You've got the built-in injury there. I mean, if Cody loses, you just blame it on the pec tear. But he still won. So again, if you're a Seth Rollins fan, you're probably thinking, oh my God, what are they doing with this guy? They're fucking burying him. 3 straight losses. He lost to a one-arm man. Cody is the one they're pushing. Cody is the one that they're pushing. Cody is the one they're trying to get over. Cody is the chosen one who is going to go on to eventually win the championship. And so that's why he should have won this match. I don't know how long he's going to be out for. We come to find out that he's going to be gone 6 months, then yeah, I would have had Seth Rollins win. Then I would say, okay, that was pretty stupid. Unless they just wanted to give people the feel-good ending here at the end of this match. But these two went out there and they had a match very much like their first two. Excellent match. And if Cody is as hurt as he certainly looked like he was during this match, look, I mean, on the one hand, hats off to him because I'm sure he was not feeling too good and he felt like he wanted to go out there and deliver the advertised main event. It would have been very disappointing to find out that the one match I was really looking forward to on this entire show, the main event, the one Hell in a Cell match on the show, wasn't going to happen. What would Plan B have been? The only thing I could think of is you'd have to turn one of the existing matches into a cell match. What match would that even be? None of these other matches were worthy of being inside Hell in a Cell. What other match could you have even added to the show? Roman Reigns wasn't there. I mean, how late did they find out about this injury, right? I mean, we don't know. We don't have all the details yet. I'm sure in the next day or two we'll find out more. Maybe Cody said, look, we've got to deliver on this match. We promised the people this match. It's the main event. It's important. I can do it. I can do this. So hats off to him. But if we come to find out now that he's going to end up missing even more time, then that was a pretty fucking stupid thing to do. But the two best matches on this show were the opener and the closer. Which one did you like better? You guys will let me know. Me personally, honestly, I enjoyed the opening match, I think, a little bit better than I did the main event. I really enjoyed that women's match. I thought the women killed it. But Cody and Seth had an excellent match as well. And no Bray Wyatt. A lot of rumors about Bray Wyatt. I had predicted I thought Bray would be on this show. There's history with him and Cody. Did the Cody injury change plans potentially for that? Probably not. Doesn't mean Bray isn't coming back. I still think the most likely spot for him to land is back in WWE. Didn't happen tonight, but I still think it's going to happen. Will he be the Fiend? I almost think you got to let the Fiend just rest in peace. They botched the Fiend and ruined the Fiend a long time ago. Maybe it's time for him to reinvent himself again. But I think ultimately the place where he's going to end up is right back in WWE. Take a look at the Twitter poll for this show. Over 1,500 votes in. And overall, a thumbs up show. About 69%. 69% thumbs up. 20% thumbs in the middle. Almost 21. And about 10% thumbs down. Yeah, I wouldn't call it. I don't, with these three choices, I don't see how you can call that show a thumbs down. Thumbs in the middle, maybe. But I would give it a thumbs up. So if you want to vote, you can. At Solomonster is the place to go. You guys can go ahead and vote. Let me know your thoughts on that. I do want to make mention here before I get to your super chats and we move on here, because I know you guys have a lot of comments about the show tonight. If you have questions, again, you can send them on in. I just want to mention, Armed Anderson. There he is on the screen. Thank you, EJ, for the $4.99. Pretty excited about this. Earlier today, the first episode of The Sound Off officially on Spreaker dropped. We have been with Podbean, proudly with Podbean, for, God, I've been doing the show 15 years, so I've been on Podbean for 13 of those 15 years. We have made the move to Spreaker. We are officially a Spreaker Prime partner. So I would encourage everybody to download the Spreaker app. It is free. Or if you listen on Apple or Spotify, you can continue to do so. Nothing changes. The only change is that we're off Podbean and we're on Spreaker. Otherwise, we're in all the usual places that you can get the full podcast. But download the Spreaker app, follow us on there, follow the show on there. And yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited about this. It's been in the works for a while. Today was the first official sound off to move over there. But if you do listen typically through Podbean, it doesn't look like it's going to be updating there anymore. I thought it would be for a little while longer, but I think it's just over. So you'll have to migrate over to Spreaker or something else. So I just wanted to make everybody aware of that before I start getting messages from all the Podbean people. Where's the show? Did you stop doing the show? No, I don't miss shows. I don't miss show. If I ever miss a show on a Sunday, then either I'm dead or I'm incapacitated in some way. So let's hope that doesn't happen. If that ever happens, though, and you can't find it on your usual platform, I guarantee you'll be able to find it somewhere else. So episode 759 is up there for you. If you didn't listen to it today, it'll be there for you tomorrow. Let's check out your super chats here. Again, I want to thank everybody who sent one in. I appreciate all the support. Without you guys, there is no channel here. I need you to complete me. You complete me. Remember Dusty put his hand up to the screen. He said, I want you to put your hand up there and feel me. Hey, Vicky. Thanks for the sub. All right, so we kick things off here with Ojali Burgos, who dropped a double super chat on me before the stream started. $15. Said, devastated about Cody's injury. He is the only good reason why I still watch WWE, since the women are treated like shit. And now I don't even have him anymore. I have nothing. I'm giving up on my wrestling fandom. Well, Ojali must be really happy, given that Cody not only wrestled in the main event, but ended up winning. And, you know, for at least one night, the women were on point. Can't say anything bad about the women tonight. Even in the 6-person tag, Liv Morgan, like I said, she was the one who stood out to me her and Rhea both stood out to me the most. Ojali says, wanted to say thanks for being one of the few non-toxic wrestling podcasts out there. You gave me a lot of laughs. I wish nothing but the best for you. It sounds like Ojali really might be done with wrestling. I hope not. I hope he at least still tunes into these streams. Chris Perry, $5 super chat. Cody used the pedigree and Rollins kicked out. I'm sure Hunter threw his TV out the window at that point. Good match. Well, he can't. He's got to be careful here. He doesn't want to get too stressed out. You know, he's got the thing in his chest. He shouldn't be throwing things. Rizzo, $20 super chat. I cry when I get a paper cut. I can't imagine the pain Cody was in tonight. Major props to him and Seth for still putting on a hell of a match. What crappy luck we have had the past couple of days with him, Punk, and allegedly Bryan Danielson. Yes, supposedly Danielson has a concussion, although that is not confirmed. And you think of the reasons why Danielson retired for 3 years. Him having a concussion is not something that you want to hear about. But apparently he missed the signing somewhere, and they were told the reason was he couldn't fly. So I think people are just assuming that it has to do with concussion issues. Flamethrower Fluff Salisbury, got to give Cody props. He had to be as nervous as Undertaker was going into Hell in a Cell against Mankind with a broken foot. Yeah, and if you remember, there was that one part of the match where he came down from the top of the cell and landed on his foot. Mr. All Day J, $20 super chat. Bianca once again killed it. She is once in a generation. And then Asuka decided to pop up on that super chat and cover it up. Asuka does not approve. Hey, Chrissy Dollar, thank you for the sub. But he continues. He says, I felt everything in that match. It was a great match. I can't say enough good things about it. I thought that opening match was fantastic. Drew Johnson, that wasn't a Hell in a Cell match. They didn't even use the cell. Awesome match, but lame when it comes to the stipulation. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I don't even really mention it anymore because very few of these cell matches make really good use of the cell. They had the kind of Hell in a Cell match that I think I'm just kind of numb now. I'm used to them following a certain blueprint. I kind of judge it based on that. And a lot of it is kendo sticks and tables and chairs and stuff that you would find in any hardcore match or Extreme Rules match. The cell is almost just incidental. Yeah, there was no climbing of the cell. There were no creative spots involving the cell. Did they have stuff planned that they couldn't do because of Cody's injury, though? I was thinking about that as well. So I'm willing to cut them some slack on this match just because Cody's injury could have played a role in them not making more use of the cell. But you're absolutely right. A lot of these matches, they just barely use the cell if they use it at all. It's like, why is it even there? You know? Bobby's World, 2110 with the $50 super chat drop. $50 from Bobby's World. Holy shit. Can't stay, but pretty good show overall, I thought. As an early birthday present, buy or sell on the better set of matches. Bret Hart against Mr. Perfect or Shawn Michaels against The Undertaker. Apologies if you've done that one before. From the Lake George Lunatic. I love them both. I don't want to rank them. I'm going to buy them both. I have enough money tonight. I'm going to buy them both. That goes for both Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect matches, although the King of the Ring one was the better of the two. Rizzo, I wonder if Cody's injury ruins any plans with Bray possibly returning. It's possible. Because I thought we would see him tonight. But if they're not sure how long Cody's going to be gone, he's not going to be around, it doesn't make sense to start a program with Bray Wyatt if Cody's going to be going away. Why put Bray on the show? It could have upended all of their plans. Shin Akuma, thoughts on the Undertaker Batista Hell in a Cell in 2007? I don't remember too much about it, honestly. I remember more their cage match from SmackDown where Undertaker had an injury. He had a torn bicep, all wrapped up. I think it was a bicep. Their Hell in a Cell match, I don't remember. I don't remember it that well. Again, there's been so many of them. Some of them just kind of, unless they do something in that match that really stands out, they just sort of blend together for me. Amiibo Guru with the 1992 Ric Flair Super Chat. Great main event tonight. Did not watch the whole show, but with a tear in my eye. Today, June 5th, I bid farewell to my 20s. 30 and thriving. I love my wife, Sarah. She's my whole world. Solomonster for life. Well, happy birthday, brother. And much success and happiness in your 30s. May you not spend your 30s watching too much Raw and SmackDown. Hyru, nothing but respect for Cody. That match was great. Guess he'll be gone until the Royal Rumble and maybe win it if The Rock doesn't come back. Thank you, Cody. Again, we don't know the extent of the injury. If it's serious enough, the layoff could be long enough that it pushes his return back. Honestly, I don't think he'll be gone that long. I don't think he'll end up being gone for that long. But if he is, the story might work out perfectly. He comes back, he wins the Rumble, he goes to WrestleMania, he beats Roman, unless they have The Rock. And that's the wild card. If they have The Rock, you're not going to do Cody and Roman over Roman and Rock. Roman and Rock is the money match. If you can get The Rock to come in, you do that match. And the Cody story, you push that off and you wait. Or Roman maybe doesn't have the WWE title. Maybe they've split the titles again by then and he can challenge somebody else. Who says it has to be Roman Reigns? Because Rock and Roman certainly doesn't need to be for a championship. Lakers Pats won with the $1.99. Vince is about to call Goldberg and The Undertaker. Don't put that evil on me. Don't mention Goldberg. Don't be doing that. Wool Hat Demon. with the $5 super chat. Looks like Edge called an audible when AJ got injured. Apparently, the impression I get in the finish was Dark DX was not supposed to win this one. I didn't get that impression at all. In fact, I think I had Edge's team picked when I did my predictions earlier today. So, unless you saw something I didn't get that impression. Nash DTV. Wish they would remove the red paint on the cell. I have always hated it. It's fucking terrible. It's fucking. It just looks bad. It's hard. It's harder on the eyes. It just doesn't look good. There was nothing wrong with the cell before. It was kind of beat up. It had the chain link look to it. It's just these changes for the sake of changes. Sometimes it's fucking ugly, and not in a way where it works. Like, oh, Hell in a Cell should be ugly. It just doesn't look good. Naif, thank you for the $1.99. King Bling Blah. I went to go see my first Hell in a Cell match. To me, that was not a Hell in a Cell. Still on my bucket list, it was a hardcore match. Call an audible 6-man tag Hell in a Cell. Well, see, so that was what I was saying before. Of the matches on the card, what would you put in the cell? Even that match, it doesn't really belong in the cell, but you could have done that, I guess. You could have put Edge and Priest and Rhea and them in the cell. Hey, Tom Phelan. Thank you for becoming a channel member. Tom Phelan. He's feeling pretty good because he just became a Sound Off superstar. Thank you, Tom. Matt McClure. Undesirable to unfreaking deniable. The actual best in the world. So Matt is a big Cody Rhodes fan. That's what I get out of that. Dada and Boy podcast. Punk, Danielson, Cody are hurt and Roman is part-time. Who will step up now? There's only one. He's going to walk right through the forbidden door and he's going to step up to the challenge, and that's Great O'Khan. Great O'Khan is going to be the savior for us all. Great O'Khan or Yano? Toriano. The comedic genius, Cody should return at next year's Royal Rumble and win. If he's going to be out that long, absolutely. Hydrograd 57, stuck at home with COVID. That sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. At least tonight's pay-per-view was really good, and I get to enjoy the stream. The show clocking in at 3 hours certainly helped. I told you earlier today, I said the one good thing about tonight, no matter how this pay-per-view turns out, it won't be as long as Double or Nothing. I said it won't be as good as Double or Nothing, but it won't be as long as Double or Nothing, which was way too fucking long. I'd only first be starting my stream right now if it was as long as Double or Nothing. Oh, Harold, why is everyone talking about Bray Wyatt recently? Because Bray has been dropping some cryptic tweets and hints on social media and saying that he's about to land somewhere. We don't know where. And the talk is that it could very well be back with WWE. Because AEW certainly doesn't need him right now. AEW has a lot of people on their roster and no obvious spot for Bray Wyatt. I had one person email me and ask, well, wouldn't he be a good fit for the House of Black? Well, there's two things about that. Number one, the House of Black barely gets on TV. And number two, Bray Wyatt, whatever name he would go by, he's not a follower. That character, like, he's a leader. If he's going to do anything, it's going to be leading his own group. I can't see him joining an existing faction and being a follower. I don't think that works. But you put him in the House of Black, you're barely going to see him on TV anyway. Cameron Johnson, why not move Asuka to SmackDown and do Asuka against Ronda as a feud? Well, I mean, that's fine if you want Asuka to just be fed to Ronda Rousey. I mean, is that what you want? I would imagine people would not be very happy with that, because that's exactly what would happen. I'm not saying it wouldn't be a good match, but all that would accomplish is you're just going to move her over to another brand and feed her to somebody else. And she'll be in the same exact spot. She'll be, either tapping out or looking up at the lights. And, I don't think that would be very good for Asuka right now. But I think that they could probably build up something with Ronda and Shayna Baszler. I don't think Asuka needs to be on SmackDown, but there is no obvious other thing for her to do right now on Raw. It's just not a very strong division outside of, you've got Becky, you've got Bianca. Now, there is a wild card here, which is Bayley. Bayley is still not back yet. We don't know what brand Bayley is going to be on. Is it going to be Raw? Is it going to be SmackDown? I mean, we've seen Bayley and Asuka before. It's not exactly something new. Bayley coming back, though, will help breathe a little bit of new life, though, into that division. Hey, Erasmo just dropped 20 by. I love that creepy Jeff Hardy super chat there. Thank you, Erasmo, for the 20 spot. Drew Johnson's Speed is an amazing movie. I agree. That's why I put it over before. That's why I said I was watching it the other day. Dennis Hopper, man. Dennis Hopper with his mangled thumb. Right? We've got Corey Blake. Can this Lashley versus Omos program be over with? It's time for Lashley against Roman. Rizzo, because I respect you, Solo, man, I matured and didn't message a bonk-worthy comment about you and Rhea's pants. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Leo Galamara with the $5 super chat. Do you think after tonight, Vince now views Cody as the guy? I have to imagine that Vince has already told Cody he will be champion at Mania after that. I do think that part of what probably played into his mindset is he wants to impress the boss. He wants to show him that, look, this isn't going to stop me. I'm in the main event. You gave me that responsibility. I'm going to deliver for you. Unless I physically cannot, I'd have to drag my body to the ring. If I can go, I'm going to go. I don't care how much it hurts. I don't care how uncomfortable it is. You've given me the responsibility of carrying your main event. And in his mind, Cody might have felt, I can't let the company down. I can't let Vince down. He's pushing me. He's giving me a big opportunity here. We have to see this through. I have to be in this match. I have to deliver. And I think after tonight, absolutely. How could Vince McMahon not respect the fuck out of this guy? I think his stock only went up that much more in the eyes of Vince McMahon. I'm sure that that's exactly what was going through Cody's mind when he decided to go through with the match. He wants to be a locker room leader. He wants to lead by example. Sometimes, though, it isn't the right thing to do. If the injury is that serious and you're going to potentially keep yourself out of the ring even longer, then that's a stupid thing to do. You know, if he was told that the injury can't get any worse, that's one thing. But if he was going to be out for, 3 months and now he's going to be out for 6, was it really worth it? For a Hell in a Cell, B-show main event, was it really worth it to extend the length of time now that you're going to be out of the ring? He thought the answer was yes. Jay Baker, Cody deserves the winged eagle after tonight. Well, you can have the one over my shoulder. Brian Blair, no more joke. Yeah, thankfully they changed his theme song. Now they just have to change his name. Sean Waters, with sledgehammers and pedigree, Cody's performance just reminded me of Triple H in that great match against Benoit and Jericho. Well, if anything, this was more impressive because, Triple H tore his quad and wrestled another 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes maybe. Cody tore his pec, knew that going in, did the match anyway, and wrestled a full main event. Took bumps. Ricky Edmonds, surprise, no CM Punk chant. Jamin John, Samoa Joe's pipe bomb from Turning Point 07, if I recall. Nash was not cool with it. No, didn't Nash slap him? I think Nash may have smacked him in the back. Yeah, Nash was not happy about the things that Samoa Joe said about Scott Hall when Scott Hall no-showed that night. I could have sworn that Nash may have slapped him backstage. NJ Mastermind, good match between Cody and Seth. I hope this is over with and Seth can move on. Cody is 3-0 against Seth. They made it pretty clear on commentary tonight that this was the end of the road for those two. Chris Ludek, Buy or sell, Cody winning tonight or Kurt Angle winning an Olympic gold medal with a broken freaking neck. I would hardly put a random Hell in a Cell match over an Olympic gold medal for our country here, right? Come on. Come on now. Let's not be silly. Zombified guitarist. The Cody injury is such a work. If you've ever had a chest injury, did you notice the bruising lightening by the end? No, I didn't. Actually, it looked like it was getting darker by the end. I didn't see anything rubbing off. I didn't see anything getting lighter, smudging. Maybe you and I were looking at two totally different things, but there was nothing apparent to me at the end of that match that made me think it was work. EJ Slamp, random NWA question. Do you think Magnum TA deserves a spot in the WWE Hall of Fame? Or did his career-ending injury ruin his chances? I mean, they put everybody in. I don't think so, but they put everybody in, so there's no question of who deserves and who doesn't deserve. You know, if they want to put him in, put him in. There's no real criteria for the Hall of Fame. So it doesn't matter. Darth Panic, I feel like Vince doesn't have faith in his upper mid-card talent. With Cody out and Roman part-time, I think Vince brings back Lesnar or Goldberg. Brock was supposedly coming back for Money in the Bank. I would imagine now that it's out of the stadium, he's probably not. But I would expect him to be at SummerSlam. I remember reading, I believe his contract, the new contract he signed was through SummerSlam. So Brock should be coming back pretty soon. You know, one match that we haven't seen in probably 20 years is Brock against Edge. So that could be a potential opponent for him. You want to do Lesnar and Edge. You know, Lesnar and Roman, no. Please, God, no. Lesnar and Lashley, you know, we had one match with them. I wouldn't necessarily mind a second one, but I kind of feel like we saw the first one. We saw exactly what we're going to get in the second one. So I would try to come up with somebody new for Brock to get in the ring with. That's why I was thinking of Edge, because it's a match we haven't seen yet since Edge came back. Joey, the $4.99. Is this Cody's version of McNabb throwing 4 touchdowns with a broken ankle, or Angle winning a gold medal with a broken neck, or someone else? I would say Schilling in the bloody sock. Erasmo Solis with that 20 spot. Has there ever been a series of matches where someone goes 3-0 against an established superstar, aside from Triple H against Batista, and now Rollins against Cody? I seem to remember none, due to the 50-50 BS they always do. I'm sure there is. I can't think of what that would be off the top of my head. I mean, nothing I could think of in the last, 15 or 20 years, but I wouldn't say it's never happened. The only one I go back to is Triple H and Batista from 2005. Triple H put him over as strong as he possibly could. Batista was his handpicked guy for Evolution, so he saw it as his responsibility to do what he could to, get him over, and I think he did his job. Matthew Scheffel, he's not returning. He's probably promoting his movie, says Bray Wyatt. Bray, he did film something for a movie. I don't know when the movie is supposed to come out. But I don't know. I think he's going to be back somewhere very soon. Call it a hunch. Rizzo, I'm guessing Roman's vacation is ending early due to Cody's injury. Do you think Vince's break glass in case of emergency Brock Lesnar comes back now? Brock is going to be back very soon. King Bling Blah, does WWE take Chicago ticket sales for granted? Do they take Chicago for granted? I don't know. I mean, I don't think they take Chicago for granted any more than New York or any other place. I think they probably took New York for granted until AEW came in and beat them. I think that surprised them. That AEW did stronger than them in their own home market. Paul Heyman. If Edge really wanted to piss off AJ Styles, the next member of Judgment Day should be Claire Lynch. You know what? Well played. Well played, Paul Heyman. Well played. I hadn't thought about Claire Lynch. I tried to block that out of my head. That would probably put the fear of God in it. Zizou. What advice would you give to someone trying to start their own wrestling podcast? Don't. No. You got commit to it. Commit to it. You got to stick with it. You've got to be consistent. If you're just going to do it a few times and, you know, you do one every now and then, it's going to fail. You've got to be consistent with it. You've got to have, you've got to have the passion to do it every week. Even on weeks where there's nothing going on, or there's weeks where things are boring or things are bad. You gotta have a passion to want to do it. You've got to have, something to talk about that are, people are going to find interesting. You have to have opinions that, people are going to find interesting. If you have the disposition of a fucking doorknob, then nobody is going to want to listen or watch you. Some people have it, some people don't. Not everybody can do it. I mean, anybody can plug a microphone in and talk. That doesn't mean you're going to get people to watch you. So I think if you're putting something out that is interesting and you're consistent with it, you have a good voice for it, and most of all, I would say have fun with it, then over time, you'll build an audience. If you build it, they will come. Ooh, there it is. There it is. Solomonster beating the hell out of Hulk Hogan. That's from my Rise. WWE 2K Gamer. Can't wait for the next one. That'll be episode 6 coming soon. Maybe I'll kick Hogan's ass again. D Philly, $9.99 super chat. As someone who is new to wrestling, has there ever been a match where a wrestler works with an injury like the one that Cody had? Yeah, I mean, there's been plenty. Absolutely. I don't know about that specific injury, but there are plenty of wrestlers who have worked with serious injuries and muscle tears that they've taped up, and they had no business being in the ring, concussions that maybe they didn't even know they had, broken bones. I mean, wrestlers have been doing that for decades. Dr. Scorpio, when Gunther wins the Intercontinental title, will it be defended on pay-per-view again or no? It has not been defended on pay-per-view since WrestleMania 37, which is sad. The answer is no. It might get an extra defense here and there, but they are not suddenly going to treat the Intercontinental title any differently than they are now. Sad. I see Darth Paddock, one of our channel members, he discovered the Sound of Gamer logo. You have access to those emojis. You got special emojis, by the way, if you're a channel member. So all you green people in the chat with those green names and the badges next to your name, you can pop off with some of those spiffy Sound of Gamer emojis. No cap, $4.99. If Teddy Hart's issues had not gotten in the way, do you believe he could have been a huge star? Teddy still blames Brett. I'm sure he does. Teddy probably blames everybody but himself. If he got his head on straight, he had all the talent in the world to be a big star. He has nobody to blame for that but himself. And King Bling Blah, I bet $20 that the AEW New Japan show has a bigger crowd than Hell in a Cell. Well, I think they had about 12,000 people in the building tonight, I believe. And they're going to have at least 14 or 15 in the United Center. So I think you're going to win that bet. But look, they sold out tonight. Hey, they packed the building in tonight. They couldn't fit any more people in. If WWE ran a bigger building in Chicago, they probably could have gotten another 2,000 or 3,000 people in the building. I love this idea, by the way, to go back to what the other person said about Teddy Hart. This idea, and I would love to see where he said that, because I don't recall where Teddy Hart ever said that he blamed Brett. I'm just kind of taking your word for it here, but I would love to know what the rationale is behind him blaming Brett. Is it that Brett didn't stand up for him and get him like what is the issue with Bret Hart is responsible for Teddy Hart not having success? That doesn't even make any sense to me. Teddy Hart is responsible for Teddy Hart not having the level of success that he probably envisioned for himself. But nobody likes to take responsibility anymore. Chris Manson, one of our Sound Off legends, has a question here. He's been on a sitcom binge for a while now. I was wondering if you recommend any. I've been thinking about Seinfeld. Any thoughts? Never heard of it. Of course. Of course. Come on, man. It's the greatest sitcom of all time. It's a show about nothing. Yeah, I would definitely check out Seinfeld. That should be at the top of anyone's list. I don't even know where Teddy is. Isn't Teddy in jail? Is he behind bars? I think there's a Twitter account. Literally, it's Is Teddy Hart in jail? And every day it either says no or yes. I don't even know if he's incarcerated right now. I haven't heard about him recently. I mean, he's such a fucking mess. I have no idea what's even going on with him anymore. He will go down, though, as one of the bigger wasted talents, I think. Not the biggest, but he'll go down as one of the biggest wasted talents in wrestling. Because he certainly could have been a bigger deal than he was, and he certainly could have been a star in WWE. But WWE, I mean, the guy is basically so toxic, WWE wouldn't even go near him in a hazmat suit. Solomonster probably liked Mad About You. I never watched Mad About You. I like Paul Reiser. He's on the new season of Stranger Things again. But I never watched Mad About You. Never watched it. Don't have anything against it. I just never watched it. You want to watch a quality show, you go watch Night Court. Believe it or not, they're actually bringing back Night Court. Or they're rebooting it. John Larroquette coming back as Dan Fielding in the new Night Court, and the judge is going to be the daughter of the old judge. So Judge Harold T. Stone, his daughter, is going to be the judge on the new version of Night Court. Unfortunately, Harry Anderson passed away many years ago. So I don't know how good that's going to be. John Larroquette is in it. I will check it out. But it will not be as good as the original. The original Night Court is another one of those shows I would recommend that you check out. If you're wondering where you can find it, by the way, IMDb. There is a free streaming service. It used to be called IMDb TV. They just changed the name of it. I think it's, oh God, what are they calling it now? Free, it's like some weird name. They just rebranded it. You could find all the seasons of Night Court on there. Night Court and Perfect Strangers. All the seasons are on that service. They have ads, but outside of the ads, it's totally free. So look it up. And Drew Johnson, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is the greatest sitcom of all time. No, it isn't. But I've heard good things about it. My brother is a big fan of that show. But no, it isn't. Is the actor who played the bailiff, Bull, still alive? Yes. Yes, he is. He's like a dead ringer for Kane. I always think of Kane now when I think of Bull from Night Court. The actor's name is Richard Moll, by the way. Moll. Look up Bull Shannon from Night Court back when he was on the show, and tell me he doesn't give off vibes of Kane. When Kane was bald without the mask. They could have done a Night Court reboot and casted Kane in the role of Bull Shannon. Oh, so much nostalgia in the chat right now. I love it. I love it. T.S. Genki with the $2. Is there a show that you liked but only ran one season? You know what? I don't know. A show that only ran one season that I liked? I don't think so. All the shows that I liked from many years ago, they ran multiple seasons. And then I just wasn't watching a lot of television because there were so many shows that supposedly were really good And all the networks, they were just canceling them. And so I didn't want to start getting into these new shows if they were just going to turn around and get canceled. So all the shows that I like and that I watch have ran multiple seasons. All right, before we get back to this wonderful discussion here, before it gets too late, I do want to make sure I don't deprive you here on this Hell in a Cell stream of a little thing that we call Be the Booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to Be the Booker.
Be the Booker. This is where we randomly book some matches for the men, some matches for the ladies. And I see if I can do a better job of booking main events than the shows that we just watched. Tonight it's Hell in a Cell. I think it's going to be tough to top Cody and Seth, but we shall try. That's always what we try to do here. We always try. So why don't we start with the men? Again, this is totally random. We take this thing for a spin, see what we land on. And the first person is John Cena, celebrating 20 years in WWE this month. Believe it or not, it was 20 years ago this month that Cena walked out on SmackDown and he told Kurt Angle, ruthless aggression. So how appropriate that we land on John Cena. See, now we got a real main event going here. Let's see who John Cena is going to be stepping into the ring with here. A lot of potential opponents here for Mr. Cena. It's going to be John Cena going one-on-one with Joseph Park Esquire. I'm a Park mark. I admit it. I loved that Joseph Park character from Impact. I loved it. He was supposedly, this is like the whole Elias Ezekiel thing. He was supposedly the brother of Abyss. He was looking for his brother, Chris. You know, Abyss. But we never saw them in the same place at the same time. It's amazing. I think that Joseph Park and John Cena could be very entertaining. And if you don't think so, well, you can go screw. I would have been perfectly fine watching that match. Watching that whole storyline develop with those two. John, all these non-Impact people go, who is that? Who is that? Who is that guy? Man, you really missed out. With the ladies, we begin with Nyla Rose. I'm sure the discussion will be perfectly sensible in the chat. Nyla Rose is going to go one-on-one with Bertha Faye. Oh, my goodness. I think the less said about this, the better. Because this is not going to a good place. So now we do some tag teams. This is brand new. I spent hours putting together a tag team version of Be the Booker. We have over 160 teams. And we'll do this. We'll finish off the segment here with the tag team version. We begin with the BWO, the Blue World Order. Big Stevie Cool. There's the Blue Meanie. And the other guy whose name I forgot. sorry, other guy. The fuck is his? Simon Dean, right? Nova, I'm sorry. Yeah, Nova. I knew who he was. His name escaped me. So we have the BWO taking on the New Day. Not a fan of that. Not a fan of that match. Was never really a big BWO guy. So I'm going to have to take a pass there on that match. But that was this week's version here of Be the Booker here on your Hell in a Cell stream. Always fun to take that for a spin. See what kind of matches we end up with. Sometimes you land on a match that just makes you think, you know what? I never thought of that match before. That would have been a cool match to see. And then sometimes you end up with matches like what we got here on the Women's Be the Booker tonight with Bertha Faye, and, what are you going to do? Not exactly a monster ripper like she was in Japan. There's a very different version of her when she worked in WWE. Yeah, you know what? That is a DDT match in America. That's a DDT Pro match right there. The BWO against the New Day. That's like one of those trios matches you would have seen in one of those, like the King of Trios in Chikara many years ago. They would have had the New Day against the BWO. Oh, who do we miss here? Let's go back to your super chats. Rizzo. Hey, look who just popped up on screen. Look, there's Cody. We didn't see the golden shovel tonight. We saw the sledgehammer. We didn't get to see the golden shovel. Rizzo says there was a show on CBS called Listen Up, and it starred Jason Alexander, George from Seinfeld. I really enjoyed the show, but it only lasted a year. I never heard of it. Darth Panic. Maybe Vince brings back John Cena for another run. Oh, John Cena is coming back. John Cena has teased that he's going to be coming back soon, and it's the big 20th anniversary for him this year. I would not at all be surprised to see John Cena back for a SummerSlam match. I was just talking about this earlier today. John Cena, Austin Theory. Theory's been teasing stuff on Instagram. I'm sure Theory would love to wrestle John Cena. He idolized John Cena when he was a fan before he got into the business. So if they want to put Cena in there with like one of the younger, newer guys, Theory would be one possibility. If they wanted to do a bigger match involving Cena, they already did Roman Reigns. Randy Orton is accounted for if he's going to be wrestling Roman. Look, Cena and Edge, right? I mean, there's a match we haven't seen in a long time. I mean, how would you feel about that if they wanted to go back one more time and do John Cena against Edge, rekindle that feud? Edge is one of his all-time great rivals, right? Maybe his greatest rival. Could always do that one more time. I don't know. I think it would be better to have Cena in there, though, with one of the newer guys. But I definitely think Cena's coming back, though. It's just a matter of which month do we see him. Does he make SummerSlam, or does he come back later in the year? I would think they want to try to get him for SummerSlam. Joey with the $4.99. If forced, would you rather watch Sunny Side Up or Hulk Hogan's Deadspin video? I ate too much sushimi, brother. P.S. Seeing his yeah. I don't want to watch either one of those things because I don't want to have nightmares. So I would pray for a power outage. That's what I would hope for. Now the World, 138 with the $5 super chat. Just finished watching the match. I was never a Cody fan until tonight. Mad respect for what he did and Seth for protecting Cody all night. Theory is the mini Cena. That's one of the reasons why I think Cena against Theory is kind of an interesting match. EJ says, I have no interest in seeing Edge and Cena ever wrestling again unless Cena is heel and Edge is a face, which will never happen. Goldberg against Edge. Yeah, let's not do that. No cap. Judgment Day with Ciampa versus the Bloodline is money. Two heel factions against each other? Nah, I don't think that's money. It could be good. But the Bloodline doesn't have a female in it, though. And the one female that might have been eventually in the Bloodline walked out on the company. So, ideally, you would want there to be a female in there as well. But heel against heel, it's like we just got that on NXT. We had Tony D'Angelo's Mafia family. We had Legado del Fantasma. It could work, but I don't know. Heel against heel group like that is not something I would do. Bliss fan said, now this is going to shock all of you, I know. But Bliss fan says that Alexa Bliss should win Money in the Bank. I hate to break the news to you, but Lacey Evans is probably going to win Money in the Bank. Sorry. Dada and Boy podcast. Curious, any podcast that you listen to weekly? None right now. I've been so busy. I'm so behind on TV shows, let alone podcasts. So consistently week to week right now, no. Favorite Elaine moments of Seinfeld? Oh, too many to name. The nipple, though. The nipple on the holiday card was always one of my favorite episodes. And of course, the one, Stella. How could I forget that one? How am I going to say Lacey when she's the new Veer? Because that's just what WWE. Speaking of Veer, look, he just popped up on screen. I have come, says Veer. I'm just trying to tell you what I think WWE is going to do. I'm not telling you that I would do it. I'm just saying, be prepared. Lacey Evans is probably going to win Money in the Bank. Not saying that's what I would do. Have I watched The Sopranos? Of course I've watched The Sopranos. Sopranos is one of the top 3 television shows of all time. Sopranos, The Shield, and Breaking Bad. Shin Akuma, thank you for the $2. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, brother. Do I ever have time for anything for myself? No. No, I don't. And it sucks. But that's life. All right, you don't work, you don't get paid. That's how it works. Let's take a look at that poll one last time here, see what you guys have to say about this show. On the whole, a positive show. Hell in a Cell, thumbs up. 69%. 69%. 20% thumbs in the middle. And 10% thumbs down. Again, you could always vote in these polls on Twitter, at Solomonster. That is the place to go. But you guys already knew that. And again, Sound Off is now on Spreaker. So if you listen to the full podcast every week, which you should if you're not already doing it, there's a lot of stuff that does not end up on the YouTube channel, you know. You can listen to it the same way you always do. If you listen to it on Podbean, you're going to have to switch over to Spreaker. But you've also got Apple Podcasts, you've got Spotify, you've got Google, you've got Podcast Addict and all these different places. Amazon Music and iHeartRadio. So many different ways to listen to the Sound Off. But if you download the free Spreaker app, you can also hit that star icon in there. And make sure you follow the show. Every time a new episode goes up, boom, you can play it right there in the free Spreaker player, man. It's just that simple. It's just that simple, and I sure would appreciate it. Just like I would appreciate you guys hitting that thumbs up here on this video. No cap, no. I don't give a shit about any of that. The Nihilist. Hey, Solomonster, what are your top 5 Ring of Honor matches? Wow. Talk about putting me on the spot, huh? Boy. I don't know about top 5, but definitely, probably my favorite one was the one that I was there for. It was Bryan Danielson against Kenta at Death Before Dishonor. No, not Death Before Dishonor. It was Glory by Honor 5 Night 2. That's at the top of my list. There were a lot of other great ones. I can't rank them right now, though. I don't have Ring of Honor on the brain. I have WWE on the brain. Luis Belmont Show. Cody Rhodes has earned my respect, wrestling injured like John Cena did in 2013 against Bryan Danielson at SummerSlam. You know, that's right. John Cena wrestled with a giant grapefruit in his elbow. Remember that? Remember he came out on TV the next night and showed us his arm was like, it looked like a friggin' grapefruit was sticking out of his arm. It was like a fluid buildup. I forgot exactly what the injury was. He tore something. But he wrestled at SummerSlam. He wrapped that thing up and he put over Bryan, and they had an excellent match. I mean, it was right on par with the match that Punk and Brock Lesnar had that night. So, yeah, that was one of the best SummerSlams they've ever done. John Cena wrestled hurt a lot of times. Probably more than he should have. Kevin Steen against El Generico Ladder Wars. Yeah, whatever happened to El Generico? I heard he went to some orphanage or something and it burned down. I don't know. I hope he's doing well. He went to Mexico all those years ago. I haven't heard anything about him ever since. I guess he got out of the business. GCC 305 with the $5. Have you ever had a chance to check out Sons of Anarchy? So worth watching, and it's in the same universe as The Shield. Love your reviews. I have not. I have not watched Sons of Anarchy. Just never got around to it. John Cena is what kids thought Hulk Hogan was. You implying that Hogan was a fraud? You implying that Hogan lied when he went on Arsenio and said he only did steroids 3 times in his entire life and it was just to heal up from injuries? Are you besmirching the great reputation and integrity of the Hulkster? Are you besmirching the integrity of a man who said that he once traveled 400 days in a year because of the time zone difference between here and Japan? Are you besmirching the name of a man who once said he auditioned for Metallica to be their bassist? And who said that he partied with, was it John Belushi? After WrestleMania 2, even though John Belushi had passed away 4 years before that? EJ Slemp, since we're talking about wrestlers performing hurt, do you remember which podcast you recorded that you were in the most pain, like super sick or hurt? I mean, I had mono many years ago. It hurt to swallow. It felt like glass shards were in my throat. But I'm almost positive I didn't do a podcast that week. But I wasn't right for like a month and a half. It was awful. But I mean, I don't know. When I hurt my knee a few years ago, that was not fun. Yeah, I mean, sometimes whatever. I mean, it is what it is. What it is. You know. As long as I can talk and I have my voice, I don't lose my voice, I'm going to do a show. You know? If I'm in pain, then nobody has to know that but me. I can put on a brave face. I didn't have a torn pec like Cody did tonight. It was nothing as serious as that. Zombified guitarist, speaking of Sammy, where does MVP get off taking the haluva kick? And don't forget when Harley Race set the ring on fire. Adam Azenberg, 10 inches, brother. Oh, God, don't remind me about that trial. Don't remind me about that trial. Hogan on the stand, under oath, talking about the difference in penis size between Hulk Hogan and Terry Bollea. Is something that I never imagined I would actually see. But that is something that actually happened in this world, believe it or not. Am I a gym guy? I will be at the gym at 7 o'clock in the morning. So yes, I am a gym guy. You can tell I don't, my lifting days are behind me, but I'm a cardio guy. So yes, I will be at the gym in, well, shit, it's getting kind of late, isn't it? I'll be at the gym in a few hours. Should probably get out of here, right? All right. Thank you guys for hanging out with me here tonight. This was fun. Pretty good pay-per-view. Pretty good pay-per-view. Had a great pay-per-view last Sunday. Pretty good show tonight. Again, credit to Cody Rhodes for going in there and gutting it out and having the kind of match he had with Seth Rollins. I thought they had a very good Hell in a Cell match, and I thought the ladies killed it in the opener. Bianca, Becky, Asuka, they brought it, all 3 of them. The stuff in between was not bad. You know, it ranged from decent to very good. You know, the 6-person tag I thought was very good. The handicap match was decent. It was inoffensive. It wasn't bad. Kevin Owens and Ezekiel was decent. And what am I missing? What am I missing here? The other matches. No, the Happy Corbin match. Yeah, that was all right. It wasn't great. It was all right. But overall, pretty good show. Devin, I see you, Devin. Buy or sell, better sitcom, Married with Children or Roseanne? You know what? Both quality shows. I didn't appreciate Roseanne when it first aired. I was not in the, I guess I was not in the Roseanne demographic. But as I've gotten older and I've watched reruns of the show, it's a very good show. But Married with Children gets my vote. Married with Children is one of the funniest shows ever made. It could never be made today, although they're going to try, apparently. I don't know how many of you are aware of that. They're actually bringing the original cast together, and they're doing an animated version of Married with Children. I don't know what network it's airing on. I don't know how raunchy they'll allow it to be, even in animated form. Married with Children, as it was made all those years ago, could never be made today. It is a product of its time. But when this animated show comes out, I will check it out. Just because it has the original cast. I will check it out and see how good it is. The show Get a Life with Chris Elliott. No, I don't remember that one. I remember Chris Elliott from a bunch of television commercials, but not from that show. Wasn't Chris Elliott in Groundhog Day? Was he the cameraman, I think, in Groundhog Day? Am I remembering that? Herman's Head. Yeah, I remember Herman's Head. I do. Herman's Head. I remember Herman's Head. That was on Fox. Psycho Dad. Psycho Dad. Of course, Psycho Dad. How could I forget? Psycho Dad was a fictional television show on Married with Children. It was Al Bundy's favorite show. And it had some great catchy jingles for the show intro. Oh, those were the days. Real comedy. Do I like The Boys TV series? I have not watched. I've heard great things about that show. I've not watched it, though. You look like a cardio guy because you are the size of a string bean. I take that as a compliment. I have a lot of friends who went the other way during the pandemic. I said, that's not going to be me. That's not going to be me. I don't care if I have to, even when the gyms were closed and everything, I said, I'll walk around the whole neighborhood 10 times if I have to. I'm going to get my fucking cardio in one way or the other. Because I am not going to end up being 200 pounds. I need to be able to fit into my suits for these House of Glory shows. I went out and bought new clothes. I did that on purpose because now it forces me to make sure that I can fit into them. By the way, before I leave you here, just mention House of Glory. Give it a little plug here. House of Glory is coming back on June 25th in New York at the NYC Arena. That's Forbidden Door weekend, the night before Forbidden Door in Chicago. House of Glory, Judas, Eddie Kingston. I don't know if Eddie Kingston is going to be on that Forbidden Door show, but he's going to be in New York the night before, wrestling for us, getting into the ring with Jonah in the next round of the House of Glory World Title Tournament. And we've got some other cool names coming on that show as well. I'm very excited to call that show. I saw Dralistico is going to be there. We got some talent coming up from Mexico. It's going to be good. It's going to be a fun night. So that's June 25th. Might be on Fight TV. I'm not sure. Fight might be busy that weekend, actually, with the stuff that's going on. But if you're in the area, definitely come on by. It's always fun when we have Eddie Kingston back at the building. Everybody loves Eddie Kingston. Everybody goes nuts for Eddie Kingston. Just don't piss him off. All right, guys, I'm going to head out of here. Thank you again for your support. I will be live on Wednesday night. That will be the AEW Dynamite stream. Big night. Big night of Dynamite on Wednesday. We have the big battle royal at the beginning of the show. The winner of that battle royal wrestles Jon Moxley in the main event. Whoever wins that match will go to Forbidden Door to meet either Hiroshi Tanahashi or Hiroki Goto to crown an interim AEW World Champion. Tanahashi and Goto will wrestle at the Dominion show next Sunday. The winner of that will go to Forbidden Door. I think we all know who that's going to be. So that's a pretty big episode of Dynamite coming up on Wednesday. I let you know my thoughts on who I think should be the new AEW interim world champion. And if you missed it, episode 759. It's all there. I lay it all out on who I think should be the interim champion. Be well, stay safe, have yourselves a great night, and I will see you back here on Wednesday night for the Dynamite stream. Until then, take care, guys.